Well, peace and blessings to you, Mr. Yes, we're coming back to you once again with a slightly different setting. We're doing things just a little bit differently because we have to. But hey, Shabbat Shalom to each and every one of you, and glad to see you, glad to see you, and do want to connect with you. And of course, I'm your Maury for this channel, helping you real. And yes, I'm happy to be here. This is the day that the Most High has made, and we are rejoicing in it. We are happy in it. And you know what? Hey, we just give him all the praise, for he is our salvation. He is our light. He is our help, our strength. He is everything to us. And so in this, as we connect with the source of all life, source of all truth, source of all wisdom, we give unto him the praise, the glory, and the honor. Well, we're going to begin going through our greeting once we return. So, hey, we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. You're in the right place at the right time.
Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Oh.
Yeah, all right. Hey, we're back at you. You know what? We are delighted to be here. For those of you that are just joining us for the first time, listen, I am going to try to hang out with you in the chat. We've been having some internet issues, so I wanted to pre-record this, and then, of course, I'll try to be with you in the chat to see if there are any questions. But as we go, and we're going to try it out, we're going to see how this works, right? But hey, peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Want to let you know that this is a Yah-only channel, and of course, many of you will ask, "Well, why is it that this is a Yah-only channel?" And I know that there may be some things that I will say that will actually cause you to be. You're like, "What? Like, I don't believe he said that. How could that be true? How could it be true that they don't subscribe to the Christian New Testament? They don't subscribe to the New Testament. What do you mean? Everybody does. What is the problem with them? Why don't they? And we've been calling them with different things like one bookers and half bookers, and they don't, and really they make fun of us. But I would challenge them to just simply answer one simple question: find me where it reads, "Thus says the Most High," or "Thus says Yah," where the New Testament calls out the Most High by name. They will say, "Oh, that's just the old convention that they used in the Old Testament where they said, thus said the Lord." But no, listen, it's more than a convention. We find in Malachi 3 and 6 where the Most High says, "You know what, I'm the same today and forever." If he does it that way, then he's going to do it that way now. And you don't find that anywhere. Also, we find that the New Testament is one of the greatest deceptions, one of the greatest psyops ever run by a government. Yes, the Roman government of its day. And yes, it is one of the greatest because it has fooled the masses. Then rather than having the spiritual walk of Yeshua ben Yosef, they have something about Yeshua ben Yosef. And I've always said this, and I'll continue to say it because it's a good reference for those of us that live in this modern day and age. And that, there was a movie put out, I want to say 2016, 2017, where they had Abraham Lincoln actually slaying vampires, right? Well, we know that there was an actual individual by the name of Abraham Lincoln, but what we don't know and don't believe is that he actually did slay vampires on his off time. Well, this is a great example of how someone can be real if you believe that Yeshua ben Yosef, called Jesus by the Greeks and the pagans, was real, or if you actually, want to say, hey, since he's real, since Abraham Lincoln was real, he had to then slaying vampires. Well, that's what we find many Christians are doing when they say, no, the New Testament is true because it's something about him that has nothing to do with his practices, nothing to do with his truth, nothing to do with his walk, and certainly nothing to do with his God. Another issue that we have is that there are a number of times we could point you to your book of Revelation. We could also point you to a number of different passages therein in the third chapter where he says, hey, uh, it's your God and my God. Last time I checked, God didn't have a God. But yet they say, well, he's Yah in the flesh. Well, he can't be Yah in the flesh if he has a God. But then again, Christianity is built on faith, not on facts. It's not built on truth. It's built on the ability for a human being to believe and to make truth through that belief what they believe ever so strongly. This is part of our human makeup. This is a part of our ability to create, and that when we believe something strongly, it becomes our reality. And this is exactly what individuals have done who hang their hats upon the Christian banner. I've heard it said, and I will repeat it over and over again, that when you've heard a lie for so long, the presentation of the truth, yeah, it seems like a lie. When you've been told the wrong thing for so long, hearing the right thing will seem like it's the wrong thing. That's because many of us, we have been entranced by religion. We've been entranced by what Reverend Fatback told us all of our lives. We've been entranced by what the majority has done. Many people who really rely on social proof, you know what they say? Well, 1.2 billion people can't be wrong. Well, yeah, they can be wrong. I hold that the main thing that's wrong with the world today is Christianity itself and even other religions. This is not a religion. This, for us, is a way of life. Always go back to Adam and Eve. And I go back to them. And I say, well, uh, in the beginning, what religion did they have? The Most High didn't name a religion. He didn't name a denomination. He did not name a church. All he said, hey, I'm your daddy. Have a relationship with me and do what I say. Period. Point blank. And that's where we're at. We find that that is the most holistic way of walking spiritually is to just simply go ahead and say, you know what, forget all those labels, titles, denominations, and this, that, and the other. No, we have a personal relationship with the Most High, and we stand upon the corpus of material handed down to us from our forefathers called the Tanakh. We stand upon that as the truth, the whole truth, the foundation upon which three Abrahamic religions are built and now present day stand. This is our material, this is our text, and so we present it with our perspective and our understanding. Whenever you want to, interpret something in German, don't go and ask someone who speaks Spanish alone. Ask a German, right? Don't go to someone that does not and is not, uh, of the nation of Hebrew, of those who walk the laws, statutes, and commandments, and live them on a daily basis. Don't ask anyone else but them about the truth that is found in the Tanakh, where it is written that the Most High has given unto Yaakov this truth and this revelation is given unto us. These words, and we share them with the world. Well, let's continue, my brothers and sisters. We are indeed Yah only. We are Tanakh only. And with that, we are happy to be so. To serve you notice that the Most High, He is today the same as He was. He does not change according to Malachi 3 and 6. And so we stand upon that and we say, if you are questioning why we are Yah only, if you're saying, how in the world can they be that? Just simply ask yourself the question, have I honored the words of the Most High above the words of Paul, above the words of Yeshua ben Yosef himself, and above anyone else that would dare speak? Have I honored the words of the Most High? Well, if you have, then you'll understand how to be a one booker. We invoke Isaiah 8 and 20. Isaiah 8 and 20, which is one of those verses of scripture that I feel that maybe we should go to. If you give me just a second here, we're going to go to Isaiah 8 and 20. And in fact, we're going to even use our own app. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, let me do this just to save time. We're going to go into our app. We're going to go to Isaiah 8 and 20. Let me get Isaiah 8 and 20 for you. We just go here to the top row, type in Isaiah 8 and 20, and what does it read? Well, Isaiah 8 and 20, and taking a look, give me just a second, got the screen kind of going bonkers here. Uh, yeah, so we take a look. In fact, let me even pull it up over here. And we find that Isaiah 8 and 20, which to us, for us, is a very important topic. It's a very important. I'm even going to go here to the same time that we go Isaiah 20. We've had a number of technical difficulties. Uh, but hey, Isaiah 8 and 20, what does it read? Well, I'm glad that you asked because it reads, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word. I don't care if it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Paul. I don't care if it's Yeshua ben Yosef, or Jesus himself. If they put words in his mouth that is not according to this law and this testimony, guess what? There is no light in them. We do not honor, since we do not walk in darkness, we do not honor those that do not walk in light. Well, with that being the case, my brothers and sisters, we simply want to flow with what the Most High is saying, according to what He's given us in the corpus of material, handed down to our forefathers, called the Tanakh. Well, we can talk more about that, but hey, when I come back, we're actually going to begin, yeah, we're going to begin our main topic, which is, yeah, our portion for today. Well, our topic, okay, is going to be from Shemot 38 through Shemot 40. The end of Shemot 40, we know Shemot is of Exodus in the Greek tongue and in our, oh my goodness, in our so-called Bible, it is Exodus in our Bible. Well, let's go there. Okay, let's tap in. Here we go. This is 38, beginning the first verse. And it reads, and he made, as we continue the construction of the Mishkan, okay, of the tent of meeting, and he made the altar of burnt, and he made the altar of burnt offering. He made it of shittim wood, 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits was the breadth thereof. It was foursquare of 3 cubits of the height thereof, and he made the horns thereof in the four corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots and the shovels, and the basins and the flesh hooks and the fire pans, and all the vessels thereof he made of brass. And he made for the altar, for a brazen altar, the network under the compass thereof, beneath it, in the midst of it, and he cast 4 rings and 4 ends of the grate of brass, and the grated brass to be places for the staves. And he made the staves or staves of shittim wood overlaid with brass. And of course, this is the altar. This is the bronze altar for the burnt offering. If you notice, it's not, even though it will look like gold in the beginning, bronze, of course, it oxidates, and of course, it becomes darker. It could have been even the kind of, depending upon the metallurgical makeup, it could have been the kind of bronze that is already darkened, like a penny. But nonetheless, you notice that it was not made of gold. Why? Because uh, we're talking about symbolism, but we're also talking about what was according to the pattern. You have to understand that as we read this, and it's meticulous, right? We're talking about flesh hooks and pans and things of that nature. We're talking about utensils. And what's interesting about it is not that it's so meticulous, even though that is something to marvel at. What is really the marvelous fact is that there are utensils and objects like this in the spiritual dimension that we would call the spirit world. And yes, there is an altar, there is a tabernacle, there's an altar, there's everything there in that realm that we would call. Some of it us would call it heaven. Others of us would call it, well, the temple of the Most High in glory. Well, whatever you would call it, you need to stop the presses and you need really make a headline in your heart and your mind and say, hey, this is really deep. This is really amazing because these things are actually in glory. Now, we could even go into scriptures and we could even prove that to you. In fact, let me do this. Let's go to another verse of scripture where we will see um, that, yeah, that there is like the same thing that you see here being sculpted, being created. We find that it is, yeah, that it's also someplace else. It's someplace else that is actually alarming when you really think about it. Uh, to think that that is actually in glory is mind-boggling within itself. Let's do this. Let's go in, and I want to show you exactly where this is. We're going to go right into the app, and we're going to go right. We're going to go into the library, right? We're going to go all the way down, and I want to take you into uh, the book of Isaiah. I'm sorry, the book of Isaiah. Let me find it here real quick, and I want to take you there, and I want you to see something in the sixth chapter. Now, notice what we read here. Okay, it says, "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Master sitting upon the throne on high, lifted up, and his train filled the temple, and above it." So we're talking about, right? We're talking about the temple. We're talking about the house. We're talking about the temple. We're talking about the holy place. And if you notice here, there were seraphims there, right? Now, the seraphims that are there, you notice that there were seraphims on the curtains of the holies of holies. The reason why there were seraphim upon the curtains of the holies of holies is because there are actual seraphim, right, in the holy place. Now, notice here, they actually say holy, holy, holy. But in the Mishkan, they are just simply there in the holy place itself, right? So it is yet still an atmosphere of holiness. But now, as we take a look here, we notice what is happening here, okay? Um, Look at verse number 3. And one cried and said unto another, holy, 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 right? And the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried out, right? And the place, the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, woe for me, for I'm undone. I'm a man of unclean lips. And notice what we read. He said, I dwell in the midst of the people of unclean lips. Everybody is just trash mouthed around me, including me. But then notice, then flew one of the seraphim unto me, having a live coal in his hand. Notice, wait for it, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. So guess what? There is an altar in glory. There's an altar in the spiritual realm, right? And he laid it upon my mouth and said, Lo, this hath touched your lips. Thy iniquity is taken away, and thy sin is purged. Now, I would want to ask the question, where's the blood? Okay, his sins were forgiven just by touching the coals. Okay, but so where's the, again, it's erroneous for those who say, well, the Apostle Paul said, without the remission of sin, there is no, that's false. Okay, patently false. We see here that his sins was purged, no blood was required, and then of course we understand that this was an altar, and where did that altar come from? That altar actually came from glory. That was an altar in the other dimension, the spiritual dimension, where the Most High is, where His throne is, and there is an altar there. Now, that again is absolutely amazing. Why? Because there is an altar there, and maybe we can talk about later what happens and what goes on. The bottom line is, when you have an altar, you also have sacrifice. Yes, you also have sacrifices. So with that being the case, then it seems as if that this, when it's restored here on earth, according to Isaiah 37, all the way through to chapter 44, we find it, yes, it's going to be restored by the Sadakian priesthood. Uh, it's meant to be. It is meant to be a part of our spirituality, and perhaps we'll talk about that more later. But let's continue to read. So the interesting thing about this is not that it's meticulous, but it's that these things were shown to Moshe, and this was a pattern. It was shown to Moshe in a kind of a I want to say a holographic blueprint, if you will, but the Most High says, hey, I'm showing you the pattern of this, and you're going to create this according to the pattern that I show you. Well, as we take a look here, we find that all of these vessels, they were a part, okay? They were a part of the Mishkan, they were part of the holy place, and this is where Isaiah was. In Isaiah 6, and he says, you know what, man, this place convicts me. This place actually convicts me, okay? This place convicts me because it's holy, and man, I'm just undone. Of course, he had to be dealt with in a particular way. And so notice what we read in verse number 21. This is the sum of the Mishkan, even the Mishkan of testimony, the house of testimony, the temple of testimony, whatever you want to call it. And it was counted according to the mitzvah of Moshe for the service of the Levites, okay, service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aharon, the Kohen. And also look at verse 22. And Bezalel, the son of Uri, okay, basically Bezalel, he who is under the shadow of the Almighty, okay, the son of Uri, the son of light, son of my light, the son of Hur, okay, of the tribe of Judah, made all that Yah had commanded Moshe. And with him was Aholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and of a cunning workman, and embroider of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen, all the gold that was occupied for work in all the work of the holy place. Even the gold of the offering was 29 talents, and 730 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. So with this, basically this is saying it was a whole lot of gold, a whole lot of provision. Okay, that would definitely be in the millions. This is a lot of gold, but these things they used for the temple, they used it for the tabernacle itself. It was built, and you see that it was a very cunning work. Okay, and notice what we read in verse number 25. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,700 score 15 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. And I know that many scholars would say, well, you see, when they say after the shekel of the sanctuary, see, that's an anachronism. That means that this was written much later. I don't have a problem with that at all because it's giving someone a reference as to what it is. I don't see that as being a diatribe against the text itself, but rather I do see that as just trying to give the reader a reference. Well, as we continue here, we see, notice what it says, verse 26, a becca for every man that is half shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. Now, this is another counting of Israel. Please keep in mind that at this particular point, they are definitely in the wilderness. Now, there are many scholars who would say, well, that's an exaggeration. Actually, this is about a tenth of whatever number you see there. It was really about a tenth. They're just exaggerating. And it's difficult for them to embrace the fact that there were so many. But here is kind of a telltale sign that it's saying, hey, that, this is what happened. These are the offerings that were given. And it's actually giving you an accounting of that, which causes us to lean towards the simple fact that, yeah, that there must have been a huge number of people that came out, even though they were a mixed multitude. Now, if you want to argue that there were only X amount of true Hebrews, I'd ask, well, how are you deriving that number? The bottom line of it is there were a whole bunch of people there. A whole bunch of people gave an offering willingly. And of course, the temple was actually built. The temple was made. Hallelujah. Well, notice what it reads, verse 27. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast in the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil, and hundreds of sockets for the 100 talents. Okay. And the 1,000, basically, they had lots of brass, lots of silver. Sockets were made. Little clips and hooks were made, right, for the curtains. Hoops were made, joining them together. And notice as we look at chapter 39, verse 1. And of the purple and blue and scarlet, they made cloths, right, of service to do service in the holy place, and made the holy garment for Aharon, as Yah commanded Moshe. And he made the ephod of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, fine twined linen. And they did beat the gold into thin plates, and then cut it into wires, to work it in the blue, and in the purple, and in the scarlet, and in the fine linen. Okay? With cunning work. This is what they did, and we know that it must have been absolutely beautiful. Verse number 4, and they made the shoulder pieces for it to couple it together by the two edges. It was coupled together, and the curious girdle of the ephod that was upon it. And the interesting thing about this, it always gets me because when it says the curious, it's not, it's basically talking about the fact that this was something that was contemplated. In other words, if you had a question, you could go to the priest and he would pull out the Urim and the Thummim, and your question could be answered. This was a form of divination by stones. You had a white stone and a black stone. The white stone was yes, the black was no. They both were smooth so that the priest could not feel which one was which. He reached in, grabbed it out, and whichever one he grabbed, that was the answer thereof. So this is was in the curious room, right? Because there were questions. And in the Hebrew, it actually means to think. Thinking is involved. Contemplation is involved in this. Well, as we read, and they wrought onyx stones, okay, enclosed in ounces of gold, graven as the singers, graven with the names of, I'm sorry, graven as signets are graven with the names of the children of Israel. And he put them on his shoulders, on the shoulders of the ephod, that they should be stones for a memorial to the children of Israel, as Yah commanded Moshe. I brought out in one of the previous lessons that this being the ephod and the curious girdle of the high priest, that the Most High had already given this burden to Aaron, the high priest. And so this is the reason why the Most High did not kill Aaron or not dead when he made the golden calf, because it was his burden to bear. The Most High was like, that's what you get. I'm going to make you deal with everything that you've done. You want to please the people? Yeah, then I'm going to put the people on you. And through the priest garment, Aaron actually has a yoke where he literally carries all of Israel on his shoulders as a burden, but also they're on his breastplate, the curious girdle and breastplate of the ephod, so that he is constantly worrying, constantly wondering, constantly pondering about the children of Israel. Aaron has a lot of issues. He has a burden to bear, he has a yoke, and he has uh, basically been put in a place where he will forever be dealing with all the days of his life. He will be dealing with the children of Israel and the burden that he has given himself. Because you notice, yeah, he stands for their forgiveness, but yet and still he calls them to sin. So it's like, man, dude, you got your work cut out for you. Well, as we continue here, notice as we read verse 8 of chapter 39, and he made the breastplate of cunning work, like unto the ephod, of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen. And they set it in 4 rows of stones. The first row was a sardis and a topaz and a carbuncle. That was the first row. And the second row was an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row was a ligure, an agate, an amethyst. Man, I love amethyst. And the fourth row was a beryl, onyx, jasper, and they were enclosed in ouches of gold in their enclosing. And the stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engraving of a signet. Every one was named according to the 12 tribes. And then made upon the breastplate chains, because Aaron was bound by this, right? They made chains of wreathen work of pure gold, and they made 2 ounces of gold, gold rings, and the 2 ends for the breastplate, and they put the two wreathen chains of gold in the two rings of the breastplate, and the two ends of the wreathen chain they fastened into the ouches to put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And they made two rings of gold, and they put on the two ends of the breastplate on the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod. And they made two other golden rings. Basically, they made everything just the way that the Most High had said to do it. And they made upon the hem of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And they made and out of the twined linen, notice there was purple, blue, scarlet, right? And they had pomegranates, right? Pomegranates and bells. Verse 25. And they made bells of pure gold. I wonder what that sounds like, right? And they made bells of pure gold and put the bells between the pomegranates. Okay, upon the hem of the robe, round about between the pomegranates, a bell and the pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, round about the hem of the robe, to minister in as Yah commanded Moshe. And they made coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron and his sons, and a mitre of fine linen, okay, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen. And you notice the Most High is actually very precise. He's saying it's got to be of linen, can't be of wool. No, it can't be of polyester. Why? Because he wanted it to breathe, and he wanted the linen to be light so that they did not sweat. Sweat is an indication that you are working too hard. No, this is not supposed to be labor, but this is supposed to be a joy. So they said, hey, you're going to put this on so that you don't sweat, so that you do not labor. You don't have to labor. We don't want you to labor, right? And it should not be work for you. If it's work for you, then it's wrong. If it's tedious, then it's wrong. Message. If it's work for you, then it's wrong. If it's tedious, then it's wrong. It should be enjoyable. It should be joyful. It should be something that you don't mind looking at any time. So, with that being the case, let's just go ahead and let's continue. Uh, and let's continue here with the Mishkan. What we notice here. And they tied, um, verse number 31, and they tied unto it a lace of blue and fastened it upon the mitre, right, as Yah commanded. And all this work of the Mishkan, of the tent of congregation, it was finished, and the children of Israel did according to all that Yah commanded Moshe. So did they. And they brought the Mishkan unto Moshe, the tent, and all the furniture, its benches, and its boards, and its bars, and its pillars, and its sockets, its coverings, and they name absolutely everything that they just told you that they made. They named them all individually here. Okay. And it says in verse number 40, the hangings of the court and its pillars and its sockets, right? The clothes for service, everything that they made it just as the Most High said. And again, the significance of this is that when they make it according to the way that the Most High has said, they are duplicating what is above. They are duplicating what is up in glory. They are duplicating that. And so that then makes it, uh, it makes it amazing to understand and to consider that the Most High Himself, that He does have, yeah, He does have the temple in glory. He has that. Guess what? In that temple of glory, there is a tabernacle. Okay. You have the bronze altar, the altar of bronze for the burnt offerings. We're done. Okay. You have outside the outer court. Okay. You've got the not just the bronze altar, but also you have the. Let me do this. Let me show you this picture. You've got the holy place where you had the menorah, right? And you have the altar of incense here, and then you have the table of shewbread. Okay, And from the outer court, which is where, when you take a look at the outer court had the brazen altar, okay? But it also had something more than the brazen altar. It also had the bronze laver. This was made from the mirrors that the women gave as an offering, so that as the priests washed themselves, they could also see themselves, right? Very important to be able to see yourself and to know yourself. And of course, in the holies of holies itself, yeah, you had the Ark of the Covenant, where inside was the actual law itself, the covenant that was written by the hand of the Most High, that Moshe received from the Most High. Well, that's exactly what you have, right? And these things were actually in the Mishkan. They were in the tent of meeting. And by them being in the tent of meeting, it was something that, as you take a look at it, you see it all together. In fact, let me see if I can show you a picture of all of this together. Let's see if I can do that. Uh, can I find that for you? Yes, I can. When you take a look at the Mishkan all together, this is what you have. You have the outer court, okay, and you've got the badger skins here called Picasso skins, ram skins, goat hair, and you have a veil. Notice the cherubim here. Notice the cherubim, their version of the cherubim that's guarding, if you will, okay, that's guarding in the holy place, as we read in Isaiah 6. The cherubim cry, holy, holy, holy. And of course, this is the inner sanctuary. This is the holy of holies, where the ark of the testimony is, where the seat or the throne of the Most High is, where the glory cloud is. And of course, this barrier right here, the outside, um, this would symbolize that actual dimension of being. You go outside of this and think of it as the physical world out here, but of course, here you would go into that dimension of where the Most High is, and of course, uh, you have the uh, table of showbread here. This is mislabeled. This is not the altar of incense. And yeah, this is what you have. Well, you take a look at it, and that is the Mishkan. That is what we just got through describing. And this is exactly what the Most High wanted. And notice as you take a look at this, this is what is up in glory. Something much like unto this is what we find in glory. Let me see if I can give you an even bigger picture of it. Here you go. Yeah, this is what's there. And when you take a look then at Shemot chapter 38 through 40, this is the amazing thing about it. And the fact that there is a Mishkan up in the spiritual realm, right? In the spiritual realm, where the Most High is, where his throne is, there is a Mishkan. And yes, there are sacrifices done. Let's continue. Let's continue. And by the way, I know some of you may be, some of you may be surprised, like, oh, he said that there are sacrifices done there. What do you mean there's sacrifices done there? Well, they were not intended to be done. Okay, you have to understand that there is a tabernacle, there is a temple, there is no sin in heaven, right? There is no sin in that realm, but there is a tabernacle. And there is an altar, as we've already read from Isaiah 6. Well, what is the difference between here on earth and there in glory? Well, earth is the only place where there is sin. Earth is the only place where there is sin, and therefore the need of sacrifices. I remind you, as some of you are like, well, man, I don't know, man. That sounds so strange. That sounds so crazy. I don't know. You're kind of confusing me just a little bit. I don't know. You said that there's a tabernacle. Yes, there is a tabernacle there, right? But you notice the difference between the tabernacle that's up in glory, the tabernacle that's okay, is this simple truth fact that you remember in the book of the covenant that we read before, there were no allowances for sacrifices. It's only after Moses, when he came back, where there would be sacrifices for the sins of the people. That was not mentioned originally. So now, uh, the willingness of the individual to give an offering for sin, if they want, every offering to the temple was not by compulsion. It was if you want to give. Okay. The only thing is, if you came to present yourself before the Most High, you did have to have whatever the half shekel was for the temple, whatever it was, you have to have it if you were of the age of 20. Well, let's just continue, brothers and sisters, because there was a tabernacle there, but here on earth is the only place where there are sacrifices done for sin. Again, there is no sin. I wanted to highlight the simple fact that there is a temple in glory. Well, as we continue, we take a look at chapter number 40, the last chapter, and notice what it reads here. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, on the first day of the first month, you shall set up the Mishkan of the tent of the congregation. Now, why is that significant? Because in our new moon celebrations, yes, Israel celebrates the new moon, which is the new day of the month, right? Okay, that is the day when the temple is set up. So part of the new moon celebration is acknowledgement of the Mishkan being set up. Okay, that being the case, it says, look, on the first day of the month, that's when you're going to do it. And you should put therein the ark of the testimony, the ark of the covenant, paid with the veil, and you shall bring in the table and set in order the things that are to be set in order on it. And you shall set the altar of gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony and the hangings of the door of the Mishkan, and you shall set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the Mishkan, tent of the congregation, and you shall set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and you shall put water therein, and thou shalt set up the court round about it, hanging of the gate, and so forth and so on. And you shall take the anointing oil and anoint the Mishkan and all that is therein, and shall hallow it in all the vessels thereof, and it shall be holy. Now, let me just pause here for a second, because I find that this is another interesting verse that I'm going to highlight. Why are you highlighting it? Well, I'm highlighting it because you notice here that the Most High showed the Moshe that was in, yeah, that was in the pattern, that was in the blueprint, right? Well, thing about it is, even though he showed him that, and it was holy because it is that is in that divine realm, but we find that, you know what, it's even interesting that it still has to be anointed with oil. So what does this tell us? That the processes and the procedures that the Most High has, they are set in place and they endure. They are not optional. Okay, it's not optional at all. It's something that is supposed to be, even though it is done right and according to the pattern. In other words, you don't get a gimmick. Every process has to be done. Everything has to be done in order. Everything has to be done just the way that you described, right? Well, with that being the case, even though it fit the pattern and it's holy in and of itself, it still had to be anointed with oil. It still had to go through protocol. It still had to go through procedure. And you shall anoint the altar. Okay, notice what it reads here. You shall anoint the altar of the burnt offering and all the vessels of the sanctuary. Okay, and basically because it's holy, and you shall anoint the laver and its foot and sanctify it. Everything in there was sanctified, right? Verse 12, and you shall bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the Mishkan of the congregation, and wash them with water. And you shall put upon Aaron the garments, right? And anoint him and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the Kohen's office. And you shall bring his sons and clothe them with coats, and you shall anoint them as thou didst anoint the Father, that they may minister unto me in the Kohen's office. For their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Meaning, the priesthood was meant to endure forever. No, it's never to be done away with. No, nothing about any New Testament, nothing about a church, nothing about it. No, all of that is a fallacy. All of that is a lie. And I know that in me saying that, it may make some of you feel a certain kind of way, but I have to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Well, with that being the case, we find that the priesthood is meant to endure forever. As we continue understanding that the priesthood is meant to endure forever, it says, "Thus did Moshe according to all that Yah commanded him." So he did, and it came to pass in the first month in the second year. So Moshe, they spent the first year preparing. They spent this first year preparing and then waiting, charting the time, and then they moved. Please understand, my brothers and sisters, that this is the way that the Most High operates. He's not all, it's not like in a hurry. Come on, let's go, so let's do it. No, he told Israel, you're going to be set free, right? He said, be ready, because by the way, it's coming. And guess what? It did. It came in a hurry. But this is the way that the Most High does. He prepares you for what is coming in advance. He looks out for you. He prepares. It is written in the scriptures that he cares for you. Okay. So in other words, he makes provision for you and he cares for you. Therefore, he will prepare you. So he had all the rest of the year to finish and to plan and to make sure that everything was right. And then in the next year, in the first month, yes, that is when he set everything up. Okay? That is when he set everything up. Look at verse number 18. And Moshe reared up the Mishkan and fastened his hooks and set up the boards thereof and put in the bars thereof and reared up his pillars. And he spread abroad the tent over the Mishkan and put the covering over the tent above it as Yah commanded Moshe. And he took and put the testimony into the ark and set the staves or the staves on the ark and put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the Mishkan and set up the veil of covering and covered the ark of the testimony as Yah commanded Moses. And he put the table in the tent of the congregation upon the side of the Mishkan northward without the veil, and he set the bread in order upon it before Yah, as Yah had commanded Moshe. Verse 24. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation over against the table on the side of the Mishkan southward. And he lighted the lamps before Yah, as Yah commanded Moshe, and he put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil, and he burnt sweet incense thereon, as Yah commanded Moshe, and he set up the hanging at the door of the Mishkan, and he put the altar of burnt offering by the door of the Mishkan, the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it a burnt offering and the meat offering as Yah commanded Moshe. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, put the water therein to wash withal. Moshe and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat, and they went into the tent of the congregation. And when they came near unto the altar, they washed as Yah commanded Moshe. And he reared up the court round about the Mishkan and the altar, and set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moshe finished the work. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of Yah filled the Mishkan. Moshe was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of Yah filled the Mishkan. And when the cloud was taken up from over the Mishkan, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. Last verse. For the cloud of Yah was upon the Mishkan by day, and a fire was upon it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys. Well, this is the portion for this day. May Yah add a blessing to the reading, the understanding, and the doing of His word. that we may understand and know Him deeper, more true, and that we may obey Him with all of our heart, with all of our mind, and with all of our soul. We'll be right back.
Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Oh.
Well, my brothers and sisters, this is our portion for this day, and I want to say we will be expanding and doing more segments as we go. But we're going to leave it right here for right now. But one thing I am going to do, yeah, we're going to start you out with another. Okay, how Hebrew are you? Question number one. Under Torah law, what was required when an Israelite servant completed the prescribed period of service? Is the correct response A? The servant had to repay the original debts before leaving, or B? The servant was released but received no additional property, or C? The servant was transferred to another household, or D, the servant was to be released and supplied generously from the master's goods, or E, the servant remained bound until the Jubilee year. Which is correct? And the answer is, under Torah law, what was required when an Israelite servant completed the prescribed period of service? The answer is D. The servant was to be released and supplied generously from the master's possession. Reference comes to us from Deuteronomy 13, verses 12 through 15. And if thy brother, an Hebrew, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee. And when thou sendest him out from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish. You're going to give. You're going to furnish him liberally out of the flock and out of thy flour, out of everything that you have. You're going to supply unto him generously. And that comes to us from Deuteronomy 15, verses 12 through 15. Congratulations to those that did get the correct answers. What penalty did the Torah prescribe for kidnapping a person and selling that individual into slavery? Is the correct response A, death, or B, financial restitution, or C, 7 years of forced labor, or D, public flogging, or E, permanent banishment from Israel? And the answer is A. The kidnapper was to be put to death. The reference comes to us from Exodus 21, verse number 16, and also Deuteronomy 27 and 24 and 7. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and maketh merchandise of him, or selleth him, then that thief shall die, and thou shalt put evil away from among you. Congratulations to everyone that did get that answer correct. Question number 3. How were impoverished Israelites who sold themselves into service to follow Israelites supposed to be treated? In other words, how were impoverished Israelites who sold themselves into service to fellow Israelites, how were they supposed to be treated? Is the correct response A, as permanent hereditary property, or B, as prisoners of war, or C, as foreign captives, or D, as temple servants, or E, as hired laborers rather than ruthlessly ruled slaves? And the answer is E. How were impoverished Israelites who sold themselves into service to fellow Israelites supposed to be treated? The answer is E. They were to be treated as hired workers and not ruled over harshly. Reference comes to us from Leviticus 25:39 through 43. And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and he sell himself unto thee, that thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as an hired servant, and as a sojourner. he shall be with thee, and shall serve thee unto the 6th year, until the year of Jubilee, and then shall he depart from thee, but he and his children with him shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his fathers shall he return. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Mizraim, of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. Congratulations to those that did get the correct answer. Question number 4. What protection was given to an enslaved person who escaped from a foreign master and sought refuge among the Israelites? Is the correct response A, a person had to be returned immediately, or B, the person could remain only until the next festival, or C, the person was permitted to live freely in a place of his choosing and was not to be oppressed, or D, the person became the property of the priesthood, or E, the person had to serve an Israelite household for 6 years? And the answer is C. The escaped servant was not to be returned and could dwell where he chose without oppression. This reference comes to us from Deuteronomy 23, verses 15 and 16. Thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee. He shall dwell with thee even among you in that place which he shall choose in one of thy gates, where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. Congratulations to everyone that did receive the correct answers. This has been How Hebrew Are You?
Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat morning coffee. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Oh.
Well, my brothers and sisters, we are coming to pretty much coming to the end of what we have going on here today. Yes, this is Shabbat. Of course, we are excited, very glad to be able to, to come together once again. Again, this is just a slightly different format than what we're used to, slightly different surroundings, or a slightly different setting. Hey, but we're getting it together, right? We're making progress as we go. So we're doing what we have to do. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. I want to say that there's going to be lots of changes, lots of things happening as we grow, as we continue along the way. Um, but this is something that I am happy. I'm happy to to be at this juncture. We are, as I said before, we have some things planned. We've got some things in the works, and hey, I just want you to know that I love you all. I've missed you. I've missed interacting with you, and can't wait to get a chance to be live with you once again. But just before we go, I want to, oh, I tell you what, let's do. I don't know. How about some Moshe in your kitchen? How about that? How about we end with one of our favorite, one of our favorite segments. Here we go. Moshe in your kitchen.
A little lemon. Gonna get my little side, put them all up like that, man. But for myself, I've done these already. Now, okay, folks, look, this right here is the winner, right? So when you guys saw the word oxtail, I know you guys were born here, right?
Now, we had to go here with AB because he makes food look delicious, and I just, man, I have this thing for oxtail. And yeah, I want me some. I really do. Um, but hey, being here, I haven't had any yet. I've had something close, but man, some good oxtails right now. Ooh.
So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna make a southern style, smothered oxtail. Right?
If that doesn't look good, now you all know me. Anything with rice and gravy, ooh, baby.
Right? It's gonna be like an onion gravy. Now, I've already cleaned these. You guys can clean them. Soak them in some water. Put a little lemon juice. Give them a little massage.
Now those look meaty. They look good, but man, them oxtails they can be expensive.
All up like that, man. But for myself, I've done these already. Now, I want to give you guys a little bit of approach. And that will be, you see this oxtail right here? Listen, you can take some of this fat off. Now, a lot of people,
Please take some of that fat off of there.
I know they don't trim them, but I do. I learned this from a guy in Daddy's Kitchen. You know what I mean? He's Jamaican. He showed me that. He said, man, you can take some of this fat off. I had never, ever even thought about it. Like,
As I look at oxtails, it just doesn't seem like the ox's tail is that big and that thick.
everything from the best food, right? So let me go ahead and get set up. I'm only going to probably do this one, looking at the rest of the fine, but I want to show you guys.
I love the fact that he's got on the black glove. I absolutely love it.
Now, this is what I'm doing when I say, just trim a little bit of fat. You know what I mean? You go like this, you can see it, and it's like a harder fat. So if you guys ever made, oxtails before, and then you see a little fat at the end when you finish, cooking it, a lot of this doesn't render down. And I should have known that. This is the same type of fat that be on that brisket. You know what I mean? That's that hard. You know what I mean? See how I licked it there, but that's fine. We're not doing a brisket. But if you just want to take some of this out, believe me, if you did that on all of them, it's a significant amount, of fat, right? I'm gonna look at a couple more. Everything I saw from earlier, if it's soft, it will render. You know what I mean? You can take some of this, like this here.
What I want to do is sometime, render some of the fat, right, and actually make soap out of it. I would love to do that.
All right, so once I got them
Talk about wasting nothing. I mean, that's where I want to get to.
trimmed up just a little bit, now again, you don't have to do that. I just like to get that hard off. And it depends on the actual cut or the cow, how much fat he had, right? But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and set these like this. I'm not gonna crowd it all the way. What we want to do is we want to see, right? So I'll move those over there. Take this part out. Right now, we can, go ahead and see. Let me get myself a new set of gloves. Now,
See, when you look at an ox's tail, I just don't remember an ox's tail being really that big and that thick. I think that the actual ox's tail that we look at, it's the internal part. It's the part beneath the actual skin and rump meat.
I don't want to crowd this up. I want to make sure I get the properly, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this W sauce, right? You guys are gonna have to put the W sauce, right? Go ahead.
Why do people not like to say Worcestershire? Why do people not like to say that? They call it W.
Just put some of this on here like this, right? You don't want it wet. right?
Or
So just
did I
skimming it, right?
mispronounce that? Did I
Nah,
mispronounce that?
so
Hold on.
what I'm gonna do is take some of this W sauce, right?
Okay, so that's Worcestershire. Okay, I did mispronounce it. That's Worcestershire. I can see why they say W sauce. Who wants to say
And you guys gonna have
Worcestershire?
to with the W sauce, right? Go ahead, just put some of this on here like this, right? You don't want a wet, dry, right? So this is the thing that I make sure that I put this on there. What we're doing is put a little bit of flavor on here, you know what I mean? But most of all, fire. Now I'm gonna take a couple of pinches, of kosher salt. I can control my salt. I use no sodium products. The next thing you're gonna see is I use my B rub, right? So my
Nice.
B rub, that's for, hair. This is it right here. This is for your hair. So this right here, oxtail, uh, your hair.
I would say that red meat is heavier. Heavier than
So once
chicken,
we
heavier
have it,
than fish.
we know we got the kosher salt, you know, throughout. From the top, right? You know, brown. Okay, so you heard me mention earlier that I was going to, brown, it, right? Why? So
Mm-hmm.
you see right here, I got the cast iron skillet.
Yep.
I got some olive oil right here. Oh, excuse me, I'm using avocado today. You know what I mean? This right here, check this out right here.
Avocado oil, higher in temperature.
We're going to go ahead and put this nice and hot because I'm going to be doing my brown. Then when I got these in there, these oxtails that already had the seasoning, then I start the same thing. Now, while that's coming in, check this out. You want to add a little flour, right? A little on my
Interesting.
dry. Actually, I don't have.
Interesting.
But
Gonna
I
add
just
some
did it
flour.
like this. So now we already have it
It just seemed to me like he would have put more seasoning on there first. I don't think he put enough.
seasoned. Just make sure I have some on there. And I actually picked that flour up. That was going to be for my, that was going to be for my, for the gravy. I actually measured this one out already, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So got the binder on there, got everything nice and seasoned up. I can see, look at that, nice and hot. Here we go, folks. You just want to settle down
Nothing like cooking with
just
a
like
nice
that.
cast iron skillet.
All right, so look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at the bottom of them. See like that? That's what you want to have, folks. You know what I mean? We want to put a little color on the bottom of it. You know what I mean? And that's that flavor. Let's take a look at this one. See this? Now, when I get color on both sides, you know what I mean? I
Oh,
like
did
to
you
go
burn
ahead
it?
and turn it on
Did you
this
scorch it,
side,
AB?
not just the top and the bottom. I like to turn it like this. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? To put a little flavor on that
Yeah,
side.
you held that in there too
Right?
long, didn't you?
Now, I didn't notice I didn't use no black pepper. Black pepper make it like super dark. I really don't care how they look. I mean, once we put the thyme under here,
So that
if
other
I haven't
side is
said
really
already, we're
done
doing this in a
well.
crock pot. Here it is right here. So when I come out here, I just start staging. This is like a real easy recipe. Don't forget, as always, the full ingredient list will be down on my website, smokingandgrillingwithab.com. That's WITAB.com.
Now that looks better seasoned.
All right, now that I'm done with that second batch, right? I'll put it in there. You guys don't have to do yours as far as I do them this way, but I promise you, this right here is going to give that gravy, just the whole thing, another dynamic as far as like another layer of flavor, right? So now it's time to work on that gravy. Now here, let me get some protein. And anyway, if you're gonna follow me for a minute, you know that I love making rubies, right? So that's kind of like what we're gonna do, when it comes to the gravy, right? So you can see I got a little bit of oil, left over, right? What I'm gonna do now is everything is back up to temp, right? I'm just gonna add a little flour, right? And we're gonna whisk. Now the key is we want to continue to whisk, right? I don't want to get no lumps, you know what I mean? So I'll just keep adding a little bit at a time,
Looks like you need some more oil, man.
right? And I noticed I didn't have enough oil in here, right? added more oil to it. You know what I mean? Which I'm going to do right now.
That's a
Now
lot of oil.
we're gonna let that see how it gets hot, right? So we'll just keep working this around. And what we want to do is get this whole 3/4 cup.
Wow, that's a lot of oil. And
But if you guys follow the way I do it, I promise you'll have success.
he didn't tell us what kind of oil
A
it
lot
is
of people
either.
have different ways of doing it, whatever they're doing, or however they're cooking. You know what I mean? But there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Hey, why you messing with cats?
Is you want to continue to whisk so you don't get no lumps. Next thing I'm getting ready to do is add the remainder of my oil in.
That seems like a lot of oil.
All right. Bring some of that flour in here like that. Now I'm going to add the remainder of my flour. I just put it around like that. So now I got the whole full cup. So you can see, look at that. That's what you want. But I'm gonna continue stirring this. Like I said, I don't like for it to like set up no paste for me, nothing like that. But
It'll
I'm gonna
do it.
continue doing it. Yes. So what we looking for is darker. That the longer we let this cook, darker. And that's like making gumbo, right? So you guys look at it in this phase right here. You know what I mean? It's really up to you, really. But I like it a little bit more on the darker side. So I'm gonna let you continue to cook, continue to stir. You know what I mean? And, when I get a little bit more of a peanut butter color, then I'm gonna add something else to it. All right, so here's where I add a little bit of onion powder. You know what I mean? We already gonna put onions in it also, right? And maybe a couple of pinches of salt. But you see that color right there? That's what I like. I like a little bit of a darker gray. That gives that a little bit more of a nutty taste to it. You know what I mean? And but just look at that right there. Y'all need to come on over and make some gravy for you. Just let me know. You know what I mean? We can make it together. I can learn from y'all. Y'all can learn a little bit from me. Now that that's the color I'm
Oh,
looking
that's
for.
the color right there.
It take a little while to get there. Right?
Here comes the
Go
garlic.
ahead and add our garlic. Now go ahead and put my onions in. Right? I got it. I just want these to be in here where it's nice and hot. You know? So we'll just add just like you see. They're only gonna be in here just for a hot minute. Just enough to reduce this water.
No pun intended.
That's why you guys see it kind of like sizzling up. You'll see it start to thicken up a little bit, right? But I just want to get these on their way to start to soften, right? Now I'm gonna grab my beef broth,
Where'd you get that from?
right? Now we add a little bit of time. Just try to thicken up on you. You know what? We're gonna keep it stirring, right? Let me go ahead and get my spatula. Grab this, bring this around.
Oh boy.
Right? We just stir this up. You know what I mean? We don't want it to get thick on us. If you need to put a little bit more beef broth, all do it. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it. All right, so you guys see those oxygen in there, right? Now I'm gonna take the gravy. We're just gonna pour this right here, just like that.
Oh boy. That looks good
Now I'm gonna
already.
go ahead and pick up a couple of these dishes you guys can see. When I say completely submerged, that's what I mean. Look at that right there. That's gonna don't forget this is gonna bring it down its flavor into the gravy. And at the end we're gonna have a ball. Southern. All right, folks. Now look, let me go ahead and put my top on. Right? I'm gonna get my power. Here's the thing. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on high, right? So this is my high. About 8 hours. That'll ensure
8 hours.
nice and soft. Right? So as I come up on the heat, there it is, when I get start. And I see you guys later. All right, so there's something I failed to say like at the very beginning, like when we were talking about like our cook time. Is if you have bigger oxtails, like if you buy them, come with like a couple big ones, and they have like 3 or 4 little small ones. You got a majority of the big ones. You want it to render down, right? You don't want it nothing that's not that's not like super thick, right? So that's why I like the 8 hours, and it really depends on your crock 6 hours. Then what I
Mm.
did was I made rice, stuff like that. So we coming up on 7. I can just take these are ready right
Wow, I
now.
bet that's good.
I'm gonna go ahead and get power, turn that off. Now I'm gonna show you what I mean. Look at this right. They about to break up. You know what I mean? So anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna set this over here on this side. And what I'm gonna do is, you guys right here, I got myself a bowl. I'm gonna put a little rice on there. I'm gonna go ahead and take that one that I was messing with. I know, right? So I'm
Oh,
gonna drain a little bit of this gravy off.
no.
I'm gonna throw it
Oh,
on
bring the
later.
gravy.
I just want to go ahead and get this here right here on the top. All right? That bone here, when you start going back like that, that's
Looking good. Looking good.
I'll go ahead and put that on there like that, right? And I know you guys are the gravy, but I didn't want to drown it right now. I want you guys to see the part right here. I got 2 forks. That's just sort of get that flip over. You know what I mean? So as you can see, when I tell you want your meat to be nice, soft, come apart like that, you see that right there? That's what you want to have. That way it don't chew like a tire. You
Mm,
know what I mean?
mm.
Put that bone. I'm gonna leave it open just
Oh,
like
that
this.
looks
Guess
so
what,
good.
folks?
That
It's
looks
gravy
so
time.
good. Oh,
Okay, so look, now that explaining this, my mouth is watering. I've tasted my grapes. I probably didn't emphasize that enough in this video right here. You got to take all of your food as you think, right? So listen, I know my grapes is right. I know that after you sat here and cooked, you know what I mean, and melted some of that fat from the oxtails, yada yada yada. Like I feel like I'm about to, like me doing a little rambling, like over talking. See this right here? Oh, this is for all my great people out there. 'Cause I know great people watch. You know what I mean? So they don't have enough great. You know what I mean? So we're gonna do it just like that. I'm gonna mix this in like that. Then I want y'all to look right inside this crock pot. See that right there? Got great. So notice we ain't got all that fat. We did do a little trim, right? So anyway, cheers, y'all.
I mean, to be able to cook and enjoy your own
Now
food.
for the right, a little oxygen. You ain't even gotta do it like that. You know what I'm saying? Look, I just go in there and grab something. Look at that right there. You wanna know if it's soft? It's more. Man, this right here is right. And look, if you cook it so long, later, coming up on that evening, you have to have a couple of bites of that, sampling, and just knowing what it is. I already got the ice. But I'm about to sit down and finish eating right now. So listen, you guys know what to do.
You know, there's a lot of people that don't know what the itis is. I asked someone, I said, um, do you know what the itis is? And they were like, itis. They did not know what the itis is. Those of you that know, you know, right? You know what the itis.
Oh, here's a little pro tip. If your gravy is a little thick, you know what? If you got to use chicken stock, or if you got to use beef broth, just put it in there, stir it up, and there you have it. That's what it's out. Now, let me know what you know, add to this. Add, actually, I could have added mushrooms. This would have been nice. With some light sauteed mushrooms, drop it in there. All right, but listen, if you're new to my channel, let me take this time to say thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, smash that subscribe button, and tell everybody out there. There's a channel out here that's simplifying these recipes and taking the mystery out of cooking. Guess what, folks? I'm about to eat.
All right, this has been Moshe in your kitchen. Moshe in your kitchen. Well, family, hey, we've come to the end of our journey for today. I want to say peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Love you all, miss you, and you know what? Y'all willing, we will come back at you next Shabbat. and as well our midweek as well. So that being the case, hey, enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Okay? Hit that button, join this community. And you know what? We'll be glad that you're here. We will see you soon. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And hey, may the Most High bless you and keep you on this week. May He smile upon you. May everything that you do prosper. We love each other. We're one big happy family. I can't wait to see you guys again. This is your More Melchior.